right, good morning. Good morning. Okay, thank you. Welcome to this year's Impact Breakfast, celebrating Jewish joy. My name is Miriam Hodesh, and I am a volunteer on the Jewish Federation Executive Board. I have a few important messages to share, and I would like to start by reminding everyone to let a little loose this morning, okay? Give your old friends a hug and reach out and shake somebody's hand that you might not know. Go ahead and do it. Let's see it. I want to see some hugs, some high fives. Kisses are okay too. All right, we have gathered this morning to really celebrate you and the important work that this community does. Coming together is a ritual that we practice for many reasons. And today, we are gathering to focus around joy. It is a theme I think we can all get behind. For about the next hour, we are going to highlight the important work of the Federation and how we couldn't do that work without you. So we will hear from CEO Danielle Minson, our community campaign chairs, Tracy, Juran, and Max Fisher, and community leader Jim Heldman, who will introduce rock star Rabbi Shira Stutman, who I had the pleasure of learning from during Wexner a few years ago, which is a leadership program that the Federation sponsors. And now I am officially obsessed with her podcast, Chutzpod. That's C-H-U-T-Z pod, if you want to take a listen. Valley, I know you do. All right, to get the morning rolling, I would like to introduce and have our Havarim, Ori and Yarden, join me on stage where they were going to lead us in the Hamotzi.
Thank you. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Amen.
All right, thank you, Ori and Yarden, for leading us in the blessings, and safe travels on your trip back to Israel for a few weeks, starting tomorrow. We are so joyful that you get to return for a bit, especially now that every hostage has finally returned home to Israel. All right, when I put my thinking cap on, a lot can happen. And I realized that an area that has given me joy has occurred every Thursday night over Zoom. What, you ask? Well, for the last 5 years, a group of Jewish friends and I have studied together, otherwise known as a Havruta. And I see that I'm here with my friend Valley and maybe Ben too. So that if you have any questions, come and find me later. I can explain this photo. But this type of learning is based on active listening, questioning, and sharpening relationship skills, whether we have discussed sacred texts, podcasts, literature, or even our family lives. Now we want you to put on your thinking cap. What's an example of joy that you have experienced that can be tied back to our culture and tradition? As we know, Judaism is meant to be lived with every single breath that we take, so not just at temple or the Shabbat dinner table. You will notice no cards and pens at your table, so we would like everyone to jot down something that brings you joy. Was it your daughter's wedding, or sharing a holiday with somebody that's not Jewish from your community? Whatever it is, go ahead right now and put your thoughts down and enter it on the centerpiece right in the middle of the table. So take a couple of minutes and do so. There's some examples up here too. Guys are doing great. I know you have some creative juices in you this morning. Keep flowing. All right, you guys did a great job. We're really proud of you. Can't wait to read these. And without further ado, a round of applause for CEO Danielle Minson.
Thank you, Miriam. That was awesome. She certainly brought joy to me as I was sitting there watching her. So good morning, everyone. It is great to be with you. It's great to see you this morning, and this is really fun. I love looking around the room and seeing your tables, and I can see it building, the enthusiasm, the pride, the joy. I love it. Words of joy in your own handwriting. On the screen behind me, you can see some of those words coming to life, and this is what Jewish joy looks like right now in Cincinnati. So what did I write? I wrote community. This room, you. People showing up for each other on a cold Wednesday morning because community still matters. It hasn't been an easy year, and I know that right now we're in a very difficult moment. And that's exactly why this joy feels different. It's chosen. A week ago today, I was standing in the Olami Ort School auditorium in Mexico City. It was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Hundreds of people, students, dignitaries, members of the Mexican Jewish community, non-Jewish students sitting alongside them. Different countries, different cultures, different challenges, but the same commitment to strengthening Jewish identity and to Jewish education, making sure that the next generation knows that who they are and that they belong. I looked around that room, thousands of miles from home, and I realized we are not alone. That's what I feel right here now in this room. We just listened to each other share each other's joy. At some point, you probably thought, oh, me too. I like that one also. That's connection. That's what we came here for. People are turning towards Jewish life right now. They're reaching for community. We keep hearing the same thing. I want more connection. I want to belong. That's an invitation that we can answer. And that's what we at Federation are here to do. We make room for people, finding their way in, for families building their own traditions, and for anyone who needs a place to belong. When people lean in, our job is to hold the door wide open and make it easier to walk through. Every year I choose a word. Last year my word was light. This year it's mindful, paying attention to what matters. And what I'm paying attention to right now is you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for participating and being part of this joyful community and this great morning. I also have a few other thank yous I want to touch on. One, I want to thank PNC for making this event possible. I also want to thank our board chair, Sherry Simpson, for your leadership, Sherry, and for all of our board members who are here with us this morning. Thank you. A big shout out to our campaign chairs, Ed Kurzman and Rini Levy. Thank you. Our major gifts chairs, Brian Miller and Kai Schneider. I saw you both here. I also want to thank Congressman Greg Landsman for having a representative here with us today. We know that Greg is busy in Washington advocating for our community. Thank you. And I want to acknowledge Council Members Mark Jeffries. I saw you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for your friendship always.
Good morning. I'm Max Fisher. I'm honored to serve as Community Campaign Co-Chair alongside Tracy Juran. Thank you for being here, and thank you for showing up for Jewish Cincinnati. When I think about Jewish joy, I think about Shabbat dinner. Almost every Friday, it's me, my wife, Chelsea, and our boys, Mason and Cole. Sometimes we are joined by my parents or a few friends. Nothing fancy, just showing up for each other and spending time together. We have been doing this since we moved back to Cincinnati 6 years ago. And my sons are learning what showing up looks like, not because anyone is teaching them, but because they see it every week. That is Jewish joy for me. That feeling of showing up for each other, Federation helps create it across our whole community. That means helping a young couple start their family through Jewish Fertility Foundation, a college student finding Shabbat dinner at Hillel, a senior getting a hot meal delivered through Meals on Wheels, and a job seeker finding their next step through JVS Career Services. There's room at this table for everyone, our Israeli brothers and sisters, our Holocaust survivors, and anyone just finding their way in. Last year alone, the Federation made possible more than 1 million connections across Jewish Cincinnati. and we keep making room because you make it possible. One of my favorite moments working on the campaign is meeting someone making their first gift. They might not know everything the Federation has to offer, they might not have a long history of giving, but something in them says, I want to show up too. So thank you for showing up for my family, for yours, and for every person who wants a seat at our table. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Good morning, everyone. When I first came to Cincinnati, I thought it would be a short stop after college. 15 years later, it's home. What made it home wasn't a job or a neighborhood, it was this community, and the feeling that I don't have to navigate life alone. I carry that with me every single day. I've experienced that sense of belonging in deeply personal ways. Through my work with Jewish Fertility Foundation, I've sat with families in moments of vulnerability, hope, and longing, moments where Jewish continuity feels anything but abstract. I've seen what it means when a community shows up and says, you are not alone. When Jewish life is nurtured and cared for with compassion and dignity. I see it now taking root at home in the everyday moments of Jewish joy we're building with our children. It's the excitement when we invite people over for Shabbat dinner. My 5-year-old races to the table. He asks who's coming. He is learning without anyone explicitly telling him what it means to welcome someone in, to make a friend, feel seen, loved, and wanted. Jewish joy is also my 2.5-year-old, singing Hamotzi in the car like it's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. He doesn't know he's singing a prayer. He just knows it's part of us. And it's bedtime when we say Shema, a simple routine that quietly tells them, you don't have to shy away from this. You get to carry it with pride. My husband Josh and I are raising Lev and Jude in a moment that feels both inspiring and fragile. We want them to inherit more than stories of survival. We want them to grow up with a Judaism that is alive, joyful, visible, and confident. One that celebrates who they are, protects them when the world feels unsteady, and surrounds them with our community. That is what the Federation makes possible. Especially now when anti-Semitism is rising, when tensions feel close to the surface, when it can be tempting to shrink or go quiet, our community chooses something else. We choose to show up, we choose connection over fear, we choose joy not as naivete, but as strength. Jewish joy is our children laughing in schools, and it's our families gathering in our synagogues. It's caring for those in need here and around the world. It's standing together visibly, confidently, and without apology. This doesn't happen by accident because Jewish life endures because people decide it matters. Giving to the annual campaign is my way, and I hope yours, of turning gratitude into action, of ensuring that the warmth, resilience, and sense of belonging that welcome me continues for the next generation and for those who haven't found their way here yet. So here's our ask today. Give because it creates Jewish joy for you, for your neighbors, for someone you've never met who's hoping for a door to open.
And give for what you don't see. The family getting help from Jewish Family Service, the student whose tuition gap was quietly filled, the senior who got a call this week just to make sure they weren't alone. That's Federation too.
You'll all find pledge cards at your tables. Please take a moment to fill one out if you can. Our team will collect them at the end of this breakfast. And today you can help us unlock a $180,000 bonus match from the Jewish Foundation of Cincinnati. They've challenged us to reach beyond our goal of $6.35 million and hit $6.5 million, the highest in our history. Any new gift or increase will be matched 2-to-1. With your help, we can get there. Thank you for showing up and for making sure no one does this alone. Thank you so much.
Good morning, friends. Good morning. I'm Jim Heldman, and I am so grateful to be here with you. Thank you, Tracy and Max, for sharing what brings you Jewish joy and reminding everyone here why giving to the Federation is one of the most joyful acts of mitzvah you can do. I now have the slightly easier job of sharing a little bit about my own Jewish joy and introducing our next guest, Rabbi Shira Stutman, with whom I have a very special connection. When I think about what Jewish joy looks like, I start with my own story. I grew up in North Avondale, back when it was a neighborhood filled to the brim with Jewish life. Rockdale Temple was, and still is, my synagogue, as it was my parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents. Most of my classmates in public school were smart, friendly, and Jewish. Joy was easy to find. Following elementary school, I attended Walnut Hills High School, where I learned, much to my surprise, that plenty of smart kids were not Jewish, and many were way smarter than I was. Later, when I went off to college, most of my close friends were not Jewish. They were also smart and curious. They asked questions about Judaism, holidays, and family, and that actually made me feel even more proud and more joyful about my Jewish heritage. Today, Jewish joy for me is not a single moment. It is a culture, a way of life that has carried me for over 76 years. It is the comfort of knowing who I am and the blessing of watching it pass down to my family. Wendy and I have 2 wonderful kids, Courtney and Dustin, and now we have 4 Jewish grandchildren. If you want to see Jewish joy in action, just watch a grandparent like me try to keep up at a family gathering. My Jewish joy is also with friends. During COVID, a friend and I started taking walks. That 2-person walk has expanded over the years, and now I send out a group text every week to about 50 guys, and we have a great group that gathers on Mondays. We explore different areas of the city, we talk, we solve exactly 0 of the world's problems, and we all feel better afterward. I spent most of my career as an attorney at Strauss Troy here in Cincinnati, so legacy matters to me. Jewish Cincinnati has always been a source of pride and joy for me, and I have watched it become even more vibrant and better resourced than it was when I was a kid. That does not happen by accident. It happens because we have decided to invest in a community that cares for people across every stage of life, especially when times are hard. That is why I am on the campaign team again this year. It is the promise that Jewish life here will be strong and full of joy for the next generation. Which brings me to Rabbi Shira Stutman. In 2017, Rabbi Shira officiated the wedding. It only happened because of a little luck and a lot of chutzpah. Courtney emailed Rabbi Shira to ask if she would officiate. Rabbi Shira replied that she could not take on new weddings, but she offered to meet them after Shabbat services one Friday evening and help them find the right rabbi. Courtney and Jess showed up, introduced themselves, and through a mix of charm and perfect timing, convinced a very busy rabbi that she was the right one. That is the Rabbi Shira I know, warm, open, deeply human, and always making room for people to feel welcomed into Jewish life. To me, that is Jewish joy, belonging, family, someone opening a door and saying, "Come in." So now it is my joy to introduce someone who has a real gift for opening doors and filling rooms with meaning. She is a nationally renowned leader in Jewish thought, a podcaster, and the author of The Jewish Way to a Good Life. So please give a very warm welcome to Rabbi Shira Stutman.
Hi. I'm actually a little verklempt. This has been such a beautiful morning. I have to say, as I was waking up early this morning, I thought to myself, I've spoken at a lot of Federation events, but I don't know if I've ever done a breakfast. And I was a little worried about the energy. But the energy here is extraordinary. You are all very, very, very lucky to get to be part of the Cincinnati Jewish community. And I am very lucky to get to be a small part of it this morning. So I just want to begin with a few thank yous to all the people who spoke this morning, to Miriam for being our hype our hype woman, and to Jim for that beautiful introduction, and of course to Danielle for leading this community so beautifully, and to Sherry for also leading this community, and for Max and Tracy for making that awesome and critically important pitch, and to Hallie for being one of the best Federation staff members I have ever worked with to help me get to this place this morning. And of course, no rabbi is ever supposed to have a favorite congregant. But if I did, to Julie and Steve Schiffman, I would say that we would not have a problem with the rabbinic pipeline if all rabbis had congregants like the Schiffmans. But with that, I will begin. That's what rabbis say. We always like to talk for 5 minutes before we actually begin, because that doesn't count against our time. So I want to start this morning with a premise. I want to offer you a sentence. I want to say it out loud, and then I want you to notice how your body feels when I say it, okay? The sentence is this: it is a great time to be Jewish in America. It is a great time to be Jewish in America. Now, I know there are some of you in this room who are like, yeah, it's a great time to be Jewish in America, but my guess is, for a lot of you in this room, your blood pressure goes up a little bit, or you think to yourself something like, I don't know you, lady, but I don't know what you think great means. I'm not sure it's actually a great time. It depends on what you mean by the word great. On the one hand, there is the truth that we talk about a lot. There is the fear, there is the vigilance, there is the fatigue. There is the sense that Jewish life is on the defensive, or sometimes that it's actually just running on fumes. There's like the endlessness of the headlines, or the social media, or the conversations about Israel that you dread with your coworkers, or your children, or your grandchildren, or the moment that you feel like you have to even decide whether you wear your Jewish star, or whether you wear it out, or whether you tuck it in. And I want to name plainly that there has been a lot of that lately. But there's another truth. It's quieter, but it's no less real. And that's the pitch I want to make this morning, that it is actually a great time to be Jewish in America, and I want to give you 2 reasons why. The first reason is that Jewish life in America, and you've heard a little of it this morning already, is extraordinarily alive. It is alive and vibrant. And the second reason is that in exactly the places where the United States is hurting, Judaism has the tools to help make it great. I'm going to now speak, and then at the end, we're going to take a vote. So you are not allowed to be like my father, may he rest in peace, and fall asleep while the rabbi is talking, because we're going to vote at the end. Okay, point number 1. Judaism in America is alive. We have opportunities and choices that our parents and grandparents could have never imagined. We are building Jewish life across a wider range of identities and family structures than the communal imagination used to allow. I mean, just those pictures, those photographs that Jim showed us like 5 minutes ago. 50 years ago, we would not have been blessed to see those photographs at a Jewish communal gathering. And now we are, and thank God they are typical and normal. We have proven that it is possible and quite wonderful. I mean, when the 1990 population study came out, many of you in this room were alive and adult. And I don't know if you remember when that study came out and we found out about the intermarriage rate. And there was all this geschraying, and we were like, oh my God, Judaism is dead. Intermarriage is going to be the end of us. Do some of you remember that moment? Yeah, okay. We have now proven that it is possible to build thriving Jewish families and communities, even if only one of 2 Jewish parents is Jewish. Because guess what? The other non-Jewish parent can also build a thriving Jewish life. We couldn't have imagined that 30 years ago, and now that too is normal and typical. increasing numbers of Jewish Americans count themselves as people of color. 14% of American Jews surveyed, adult American Jews surveyed, say they were not born as Jews. We have an extraordinarily high rate of converts to Judaism at this moment, unlike we've seen in recorded Jewish history for the longest time. Can you imagine a bigger blessing than that, than Jews by choice? I actually cannot. We have people who are choosing to join the Jewish people, choosing to join the covenant, and with that, make it stronger in ways we never could have imagined. We are building communities that fit the real contours of our actual lived lives. We were also told in the 1990 population study that the Jewish community was going to shrink. Guess what, guys? It has not. In some communities, thanks to intermarriages, the number of Jewish households is actually expanding, because you'll have a Jewish household which has one Jewish adult, right? The number of Jews in the United States is holding steady at 2.4%, which is holding steady with the rate of expansion in the United States generally. And I can keep on going. I could keep on going the whole morning, but I know some of you have to get to work, right? The 300,000 individual young adults have taken part in one-table dinners, Shabbat dinners in individual homes. 180,000 college students go to Hillel events every single year. 650,000 kids received PJ Library books, right? The statistics can go on and on. I'm a statistics nerd, so I really could throw these numbers at you all morning long. They are overwhelming because of the beauty of them all. We are strong, and we are only going to get stronger and stronger. And this doesn't cancel anti-Semitism. It doesn't ask us to be naive. It simply tells one truth alongside another truth. There is openness in this country, and there is tremendous joy as well. So that's the first reason I'm making the pitch to you this morning. American Judaism is thriving. It is not perfect, it is not easy, it is not without strain, but it is alive in a way that is real and visible. But I want to offer a second reason, because to me, as a patriot, as someone who loves the United States, it's a deeper one. I think it's a great time to be Jewish in America because Judaism holds exactly the set of tools and technologies that America is desperate for right now. Number one, we know how to build community, to fight loneliness. Number two, we know how to be curious. Number three, we know how to build lives of meaning. Here's a story I heard a few months ago from one of my congregants out in Aspen. So she's in her 80s now, and she grew up in a type of Brooklyn where everyone was Jewish, but no one ever went to synagogue. So she told me the story, I don't know, a few months ago, and a few months before then, these women had all gone away together on a weekend retreat, right? They're in their 80s. One of the women, they were having dinner one night, and one of the women said to the whole group, "I need to tell you a secret that I've been keeping for 70 years. And the other women said, "Okay, we're ready." And this woman said, "I'm not actually Jewish." And the other women said, "What?" She said, "I'm not actually Jewish." She said, "Let me tell you the story. I was born to a single mother, and we had no money. We were very, very poor, and my mother had no choices. So when I was 6 years old, one day my mother said to me, "We're going to move to this neighborhood in Brooklyn, and you're going to tell everyone you're Jewish. And I'm going to tell everyone I'm Jewish, because the Jews take care of their community, and so they'll take care of us. And so, see, it's interesting. Some people are clapping, and I know some of you are like, what the? So that's what they did. They moved into this Jewish community, and they told everyone they were Jewish. And what did the Jewish community do? They welcomed them in. And they took them in, and they fed them, and they housed them, and they clothed them, and they gave the mother a job so that she could support her family. And this woman said to the group of other women, she said, at a certain point, I was Jewish, and I felt Jewish. And she said, and I didn't even realize until I was well into my adulthood that there was actually something I would have needed to do to actually become Jewish. Like, she didn't get, because in Christian America, you know, you can just say, I'm Christian, and then you're Christian. So she didn't get that there was actually, but that sentiment, the Jews will take care of you, right? That sentiment that we know how to take care of each other as a community. From 2,000 years ago, when you read the Talmud, and it says in the Talmud that we have something called the kuppah, which is the community organization in which 2 people collect the money, and then 3 people give out the money to people in need. What is that? It's the ancient Jewish Federation system, right? Until today, we have understood that what community means is to take care not just of ourselves, but of everyone. It is a complement and an obligation at the same time. But here's the rub. Because people who understand what it means to be part of an actual community also understand that what it means to be in community is to actually show up. Everyone that you've seen on the bima here this morning are not just people who get to stand at the podium and make a speech. They are also the people who come to meeting after meeting, who volunteer hour after hour, who give of themselves in so many different ways to make the community happen. So if you are community curious, this is your moment. Consider this your invitation. Remember that in order to make community happen, you actually have to show up. Because we are living in a moment that constantly tries to convince us that power lies in being a sort of a commentator, a prognosticator, right? Like, everyone has to have a take about something. Everyone has to announce where they stand. Everyone has to prove they belong by saying just the right thing. But Judaism actually has an entirely different architecture. Judaism says instead, just come into our home for Shabbat dinner. Just sit with us, just bless with us, just eat with us, just sing with us, or mourn with us, or study with us, or do tshuva with us. We find community not because we all agree, but because we all can say kiddush, the blessing over the wine, in the same room. Because we can all still make space for each other at the same table. That is part of what America is missing right now. And we Jews know just how to do it. But the only way to do it is to actually do it. So I beg you, for the sake of our community and for our country, to model it. For us, for that little girl and her mom, but for our whole country as well. And once you have the thick space of community, the next thing you can do is something that Judaism trains us to do naturally from the moment we're born, which is to be curious. So Jim told you that once upon a time I used to work at a place called 6th and I in Washington, D.C., and one of the things we did was we ran a workshop called the Interfaith Couples Workshop. And each of the couples who was in the workshop would write a case study about an issue that was live to them, and then they would present their case study in front of the group. And here is a typical case study of an interfaith couple. I'm just going to read you a part of it, but this is it verbatim. I changed the names. Sarah was raised in a Jewish home keeping kosher and Shabbat. Judaism was part of her home, at school, part of her community. Jack comes from a very conservative Christian upbringing. Sarah was raised to speak her mind, while Jack was raised to speak only when spoken to. Sarah is curious and questions everything, including religion. Jack is sometimes curious, but believes that things just are. Sarah is passionate and lives life out loud. Jack is more private, with a more controlled sense of excitement. How many of you feel like you know Sarah? How many of you feel like Sarah is your daughter? Right? So, it's actually, look, I don't need to tell you, Judaism is built on a sense of curiosity, right? Like curiosity, a sense of spiritual courage is one of our orienting principles. In just a minute, it's going to be Passover. But at the current moment, I worry that curiosity might be the most endangered of all Jewish virtues. Because fear narrows curiosity. And for good reason, we have been scared these last few years. Exhaustion narrows curiosity. Defensiveness narrows curiosity. When you are braced for impact, which we have been, right? Think of the announcement that opened the event this morning. When you are braced for impact, wonder feels like a luxury. But I want to try a case study in curiosity this morning, okay? Are you guys still awake? Okay. Goes like this. It's going to be very quick because I'm running out of time. So you're going to have to take it home and discuss it over your Shabbat tables. If I were to ask you, what is the most liked religion in America right now? What would you say? It's the Jews, everyone. It's the Jews. The Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life. Now, right now, you're all trying to figure out why that's not true. All of you. All of you are. So I'm going to tell you all the things that you're trying to think of, right, to decide why it's not true. And I will say, yes, that study was done before October 7th. So now you're all like, oh, well, I'm not going to listen anymore because it was at a... So that one is true. But I would venture to say, I would be shocked if the numbers had moved a tremendous amount. Because of other, I told you, I'm a nerd when it comes to data, but because of other research, right? So what I would encourage you instead, I was going to do a whole voting thing, but I'm running out of time, so I won't. I would encourage you instead, because I'm making this pitch that it's a great time to be Jewish in America, I would encourage you instead to think about why that might be. Why might it be that the Jews are the most liked religion in America right now? There are bad reasons for it, to be sure, but there are many, many good reasons as well. So go home, talk about it with your people at your Shabbat table. Think about it. Continue to develop the muscle of curiosity that we are brought up with in the Jewish community. And let that muscle spread from our community out into our country so that we can build the country that every single American deserves. Point number 3, and with this I'll close. Judaism knows how to build lives of meaning. We have Shabbat. We have meaningful based eating practices. We have baked into 2,000 years of history ways to show up in the world to answer the question that research shows 50% of human beings ask every day: why am I here? And a lot of contemporary culture tries to convince us that what is going to give us meaning is the next purchase. It is the next thing, but that is not what gives us meaning. What gives us meaning is living lives dedicated to chesed, acts of loving kindness, tzedek, acts of justice, right? Ahava, acts of love. I don't need to spend too much time talking about this because if you're in this room, you know that already. And so what can happen too often in our culture is we can get sidetracked by the noise. And what Judaism does is it can bring us back to center. An informal roundup of Judaism's top 10 attributes for a life well lived, according to our core text from Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our ancestors, looks like this. The pursuit of justice, grace, which means undeserved kindness that you give to people, humility, tshuva, repentance, right setting, service to God, Jewish learning, acts of loving kindness, judgment, truth, and peace. That's it, and that's us. So I want to close with this. It is a great time to be Jewish in America. Not because it's easy, not because we have no work to do, but because we have a tradition that knows how to build a life, a community of care, a curiosity that keeps your mind awake, and practices that give your life meaning. These are not only Jewish strengths, but they are civic strengths as well. But I learned way too late in life that it's not polite to point at people, so forgive me if I do that every once in a while. But I want to say before I close, just what you already know, just to remember that these sorts of things don't happen by accident, right? Someone has to pay for it. Someone has to organize it. Someone has to staff it. Someone has to give precious volunteer hours to it. And actual people have to build the structures that we take care of each other from a sentiment into a reality. And so I want to close with something very, very personal, which is this. I have a full-time job. I work very hard. I also have 2 kids in college, and my husband and I know where every single dollar that we take in goes. And it's for that reason that the gift that we give to Federation every year gives us more pride than almost any other dollar that we spend the entire year round. Because that is the gift that we know supports the entire ecosystem that makes everything possible. Not just the part that protects us when the emergencies happen, but also the part that supports us in ordinary time, in joyous time, in the moment that, God willing, we will be inhabiting this year and in years to come. You guys don't know me, but I am not someone who wears jewelry. That is the object that I will be most proud to pass on to my daughters after me. And it's because of what it means. It means that I believe in this community and the power of what the federated system can do. It is for 2,000 years the only organization that can reach every single part of the Jewish community and make a difference. And that's why I'm so grateful to be here this morning. So let's take a vote. Are you ready? Are you awake? Now listen, you're a bunch of Jews, so you're all going to try to be Talmudic. It's a yes or no, up and down vote, okay? I'm not interested in okay, you can decide to abstain if you want, that's fine. But yes or no. Do you think it is a Do you think it is a great time to be Jewish in America? Raise your hand. Wow, that's amazing. All right, I don't want, okay, for those who voted no, if you don't believe me, I have one more ace in my pocket. I am honored to introduce the honeybees and the rainbows from the JCC Early Childhood School to close us out this morning with Adama Vishamayim. Talk to me after this.